Hi, I'm Bill Glover, and I'm the founder of Bright Canopy. And you're listening to the Drax Files Radio Hour with Joe Yardley.
I'm not in the beta. Can I get into the beta?
Oh, I was thinking I already had you in there. So, yes, absolutely. I'll send that along.
See, it helps to have a weekly radio show to get into things.
All the perks. Yeah.
Now I want 2 years free.
Hello there and welcome to the Drax Files Radio Hour with Joe Yardley. My name is Drax Dupre. We're broadcasting, or did broadcast by the time you hear this podcast, from Fantasy Faire in Second Life. Fantasy Faire is obviously a fabulous fundraiser for Relay for Life, benefiting the American Cancer Society. A vast, crazy landscape full of amazing content to buy, but also there are games, hunts, and community events all around. Escapism. Yep, that dirty word again. Anyway, before we go into the live-to-tape portion of the show today, I want to play a conversation I had with Bill Glover, a.k.a. Chaos Priestman in Second Life, the man behind Bright Canopy. You may have heard of Bright Canopy. They aim to replace SL Go as the leading Second Life cloud streaming provider. SL Go shut its doors yesterday. As faithful listeners know, the parent company OnLive was bought by Sony. But within 24 hours after that announcement, Bill answered on Inara Pay's Modem World blog, where she mused if Amazon AppStream could do what SL Go did. And Bill said, yes, there is a possibility to do it via a service called Frame. FRA.me uses Amazon AppStream, Google, and Microsoft servers to host applications in the cloud. They've been around for a few years, unbeknownst to SL users, such as me. So here's my interview with Bill Glover, and I started with the most obvious question. You might imagine what that was.
Will it be better than SL Go?
I believe it will, for a simple reason. SL Go started very early. They were trailblazers. They accomplished a great deal, but they had to do it all on their own. They built their own infrastructure. They had to make that infrastructure profitable. That in the end became both an advantage and a disadvantage for them.
That was a big hurdle in many residents or potential customers' mind, that it was so expensive. And Dennis was on the show many times explaining they had their own server farms, costs a lot of money. How will you solve the issue of running costs?
The original idea, that first 24 hours, you were talking when Inara brought up the question, could someone else provide this service? Could we bridge this? I jumped in because one of the things that was available just recently, became available, was AppStream from Amazon. Now, this was one potential solution, and I explored it. I believe it would work, but it's not quite there yet. It's a little bit primitive and low level. About the same time, Nikola Bozanovic from Frame contacted me. He has a much more mature service built on the same infrastructure. So the idea is this is all built on Amazon. Same as Netflix is built on Amazon. Same as Dropbox is built, on Amazon.
For the non-technical listeners, just real quick, so Amazon has servers and some of them are not in use all the time, so they rent out temporary server space, if I understand this correctly.
That's how they started the cloud services, but it's actually become its own division or its own business unit within Amazon. And it's something that they maintain year-round so that you don't lose servers from that cloud when they get busy. So it's a big cloud. Lots of big companies run on it. Frame is built on top of this and has already been providing streaming service for some big companies. So they were interested in solving this problem with me of allowing people to connect to Second Life on lower-end devices, eventually mobile. At first, we're targeting lower-end devices on Chrome.
I saw on Frame's website, just for clarification, I saw on Frame's website that they use also servers from Google with a Google service and Microsoft Azure, I believe it was.
Those are definitely their own separate farms. They each work a little bit differently. They're as different as the companies themselves are. But one of the advantages of Frame is that they're not tied to just Amazon. In the future, they are planning to be able to move and have already done work where they're able to host on these other clouds. So that's a nice safety net and also a chance to trade off between the companies on price eventually. In the short term, you did ask about price, and I don't want to bypass that question. So what we're going to do is, by carefully choosing how we host and what pools of servers we pick from, we're going to get the best deals. And we'll be using some intelligent algorithms that pick the very best prices for our backend. Now, it's not all decided yet exactly how we're going to do that. We have several options, and it may be that we make some of those options available separately to users so that they can help decide which way they want to go. But that's the big question right now is pricing. We know how important it is, and we're trying to get that right.
Now you have these server farms, and Frame already offers a service where you pick your applications and then they run it for you and you pay them. What is involved on top of what they already offer specifically for Second Life? So, in other words, what is your task right now to make this work for Second Life?
Sure. Think of what Frame offers as if they offer you a PC that's in the cloud and everything else is up to Bright Canopy. So we install the viewers and manage them and maintain them. We connect users to those viewers. Frame is going to provide some services to help make that easier. But in the end, the entire Second Life piece of it is Bright Canopy. Of course, Frame's been very helpful, but to them, in the end, we will be a customer running on their services, and then residents will then be customers of Bright Canopy.
And then I could, as a customer, potentially ask you guys, or you may be offering this, let's say, a variety of viewers for people.
That's right. And we currently are in beta with Firestorm and with the Linden Viewer, but we are definitely looking to expand in the future. At first, most obvious is probably Singularity and OnLook are both very interesting. We'll have to see. One of the issues that we have to address with each viewer separately is licensing issues. What are our legal requirements? And we take those very seriously. We want to make sure that we do that correctly.
So you install this on your machine. You offered basically a plug and play solution. How about the privacy issue? A lot of Second Life residents are very weary of giving their password to somebody in between, a middleman.
And I definitely understand that. You know, a long-time Second Life user myself, I've been wary of earlier viewers that came along, especially. In this case, the accountability, I think, is what helps. I'm not anonymous. You know who I am and where I am. I'm easily tracked down if I do something bad. My reputation's on the line, and legally, I'm responsible for all of these things.
According to an old friend of mine in Germany, everybody in Second Life is not even real. So,
so it doesn't matter. Yeah. My motto on my profiles: I'm eagerly becoming a figment of my own imagination. You know? So, but the idea is, I'm on the hook for this. Frame is on the hook for this. They're already providing services for companies like Adobe and Siemens, and they trust them with private information. Amazon obviously is on the hook for this. And again, they have a reputation to protect. So all of us have practices in place to protect privacy. We're going to continue to improve those as we go forward because it's a never-ending thing. Security never stops. You're always improving. Currently, I am the only Bright Canopy employee who has access to the platform itself. And we will be very careful in who else we add to that list. And that will be the work done in there will be audited. You know, there'll be a way to go back through the log and say who was in there and what did they do. So that will continue. At first, that will be manual, but we may automate that eventually. So,
you said earlier that right now you're focusing on lower end machines. What's the challenge with mobile versus lower end machines? The overlay interface, I guess, is an issue which you have to write.
That's the biggest issue, actually, is the viewers, as they stand right now, don't have a native touch interface that will work for mobile. You can sort of make it work, but if you don't have Pinch and Zoom, you don't have the things you need to be able to make it work. So our plan is to write or adopt, if somebody has one that they would like us to look at, probably actually rather than an overlay, an actual additional theme or mode to the viewers. I'm a very strong open source proponent. So whatever we do, we want to contribute a backup stream to the main viewer so it's available to all viewers. We don't want to do this, 5 times.
What is going on in the beta right now? What have you learned? Have you anticipated challenges, or are new ones coming up? How many people are in the beta right now?
We have around 50 people who signed up, around 45 people who are actually active. We have great response from the Firestorm beta testers have come in and volunteered. We're not endorsed or created by Firestorm or Linden Lab or anything like that. But both Linden Labs and Firestorm have jumped in and provided advice and help with testing and things. We've also had folks come over from OpenSim, Stefan's over, Diva's over, helping us to test things out. They've had a shot at it. So we've had a really active beta. We anticipated more problems actually than we found. So far, the one that's taking the longest to work on, the stickiest issue is keyboard recognition. This is running on a Windows machine up in the cloud, so recognizing a Mac keyboard and recognizing, say, the toughest one, a UK English keyboard versus a US English keyboard.
Oh boy. Uh-huh.
So that's something that we're working right now. Frame's working very hard on that. Voice was an early one that we actually didn't think we were going to be able to do easily. We found we were able to do it, but audio. I work for a video company, have for about almost 8 years now. AJA Video Systems. If anybody does a lot of video, they'll know them. We do converters and things. I live in Grass Valley. If you've ever heard of the Grass Valley group, we're here. This is Video Valley. So audio is always the last thing that we get working. It's because it's so sensitive to delays. So we're going to work on that. I can't guarantee audio is going to be beautiful when we launch, but we're definitely trying.
That's amazing because on Live put that to the side for a while, and they were going to tackle it when they got closed down and bought.
We got it working. Again, it's subject to that breakup that we're seeing with other audio as well, which may make it usable or not usable. We'll see. Let's all try it and find out. If it doesn't, then we may need to go down another route. And I'm sure SLGO was probably considering doing the audio separately, and have direct connections or whatever. We could go down that route if we need to. But for right now, it does work. Let's see if it's usable.
How will you handle payments? That's an issue sometimes for even bigger companies and mid-sized.
Absolutely. And then yet again, there are services that have solved that problem and solved it well. Frame themselves handles payments for corporate types of customers. They're going to be a facilitator for that, if you will. But in the back end, the actual payment service will be Stripe. Stripe's a very advanced and very capable payment service that takes all sorts of payments, but also including Bitcoin. So we hope to have Bitcoin at launch. We do have some work to gate in Linden's. So we do want to have Linden payment, but that won't be it right away.
It was amazing to me because they have it on their website, a test, and you can log in, and it worked right away. I mean, not to the visual fidelity we were used to SLGO, but it worked. So again, I mean, I asked you this in the beginning. For a non-technical person, it's quite interesting to see that a company like On Live, who spent a lot of development dollars on a cloud streaming service, and then all of a sudden, from my vantage point, I see, hey, this infrastructure, as you explained, is already there, and it's not simple, but it's relatively straightforward to implement this.
It's a second mover advantage. We talk about first mover advantage sometimes, but really what really happens is second mover. Somebody proves it can be done, and then somebody else has a little more time to think about it. Think of Yahoo and Google. Who would start a search engine? Yahoo was the big search engine. Nobody needed another search engine.
Right.
So, but Google had a different way of approaching it. And Frame, they have a different way of approaching solving this problem. And that's really paid off. They put a lot of work into it. They've been at this for a couple of years. So they didn't just start, here recently, but they really have a new and I think a better solution.
Well, the key is also outsourcing. You have infrastructure existing, and then you build something on top of this infrastructure, which leads me to the question, do you think for Linden Lab it makes sense to have a relationship with you or whoever else comes along versus developing this and running it in-house?
I think if this is as successful as I believe it will be, it may take the pressure off of Linden Labs to provide their own solution. If we're able to bring more people into Second Life, if we're able to make it easier for people to use it, that'll also give them more resources. So it's actually both sides of that equation. That may make them feel more like doing it themselves. And frankly, where I'm coming from, I'm about solving the problem. I mean, I would like for this to be sustainable, to pay for itself, to be a going concern. But if what ends up in the end is that we inspire Linden Labs to do something even better, then I think we've all won. I'm not very possessive of this idea. I just want to make it as good as possible. And nobody's proven you can do this profitably. And I have to prove that. So if I can do that, then we'll be able to stay in business and provide this for people. This is not something that I'm putting together as a big acquisition target for some company. I'm doing this to actually provide the service and be here as long as I possibly can. That means I need to be profitable. Now, once I prove it's profitable, I will have competition. So then, that'll help drive all our prices down, et cetera, But I'm hoping to be, big enough and good enough that that people just want to use my service.
You're an engineer. I don't know what if you have any marketing background. I don't. I'm just dabbling in it occasionally. But what would the pitch be to a person, a Second Life enthusiast, who would say, "What? I'm not going to pay anything for SL. It's free. I'm not going to pay anything."
You're going to buy a brand new computer with a high-end graphics card because you don't need to if you use Bright Canopy.
So there you have it. Exactly the point, which was lost on many during the SL Go days. I still hear people talk about the high price and so on and so forth. But anyways, that was Bill Glover, aka Chaos Priestman in World. We will be reporting on progress of this beta. Of course, so far so good. There is a demo of SL on the Frame website. We linked to it on the blog. Check it out and let us know what you think and how it compares to SL Go. We wish Bill luck, although making this thing economical may be a challenge. There was an article on Gizmodo recently about a guy who built his own cloud streaming solution with Amazon AppStream, and he came to calculate this to about 50 cents an hour of gaming, which for a hardcore user may be better to actually buy a real good new machine. But then again, this is an individual and not a service that if it should scale would come down in price, as Bill said. Anyway, without any further distraction, let's go to the tape of our live show from Fantasy Faire 2015 in Second Life, recorded just hours ago. Enjoy. Hello and welcome to Fantasy Faire 2015. We are taping this live. We are here at, where are we, Joe? We're at Poseidon's Abyss. Hi, Joe.
Hello. Lots of water everywhere. It's almost like being back home.
But it's really strange to see you in a fantasy environment, I have to say. You are not often seen outside of a realistic environment.
To be honest, it's quite strange to see me anywhere in Second Life. I'm pretty much stuck in Berlin most of the time.
It's a fabulous Fantasy Faire, as I said at the top of the hour, an amazing event, and we have a whole bunch of guests here, and we have a whole bunch of people in the audience. And we'll talk to all that. We'll introduce the guests shortly. I want to run through a handful of news items that happened this week, Joe, because I think they're important. They're SL unrelated in the sense that there's some incompatibility with our little world, but I think it's nonetheless important because Microsoft had a huge event in San Francisco called Build 2015, and they showed the HoloLens goggles, or what would you call them, head-mounted display headset, and we made gentle fun of it, but I saw the demos and there's a whole bunch of videos out there. It is quite impressive.
Well, it's very impressive because it pretty much gives you the virtual office. It brings virtual reality into your real life in a very practical way, which is fantastic. It is, but it is augmented reality, which is great, which has lots of uses, but it's not for me.
Sorry to break it to you, but not everything is just for you, Joe. But let me.
What?
Yeah, I know. Since we're on the radio, and if people haven't seen this, there is a demo, architectural visualization. It's really kind of like the World Builders video. You see two people next to each other and the hologram appears and you can talk to other people that are elsewhere. You have full communication. The headset has no cables. The power supply is built in. Everything is on board. Spatial audio, of course. It's quite impressive. And in that architecture demo, just like you would imagine, the walls disappear. The building comes in around you. You can manipulate the building in real time. The other person sees it. You can discuss what to build where, just like we do in Second Life, but incorporated into your real environment. There's another demo where anatomy students are taking apart a hologram body and learn about the body in real 3D. So yes, it's augmented reality. It's an overlay on top of the real world. But I have to say, I'm really impressed how far they've gotten. So this is going to work with Windows 10, which will be released end of July.
Tech like this would have been impossible just a few years ago. So it's how fast these things are going, which is making me hopeful, because right now I don't see myself in my living room or my office wearing a headset all the time. Instead of just using my laptop. But, with the headsets changing so rapidly and the tech moving up so fast, I can see, the future in just maybe a year, maybe even less, where we actually have headsets that are small, very light, practically invisible, that you forget you're wearing.
This thing, I think I mentioned this thing has spatial audio, so if you turn around and the hologram that you're interacting with or the content that you're interacting with, your localization cues are moving accordingly to your position in the room. But I have to say, Joe, I mean, I've seen your real life apartment through pictures. So you have it decorated in the 1920s, but with something like this, anybody could decorate their home in the way they wanted to, and then. Well, yeah, it's not. See, there we go. This is the eternal discussion about what is real and what is not real, and how is augmented reality? Is that then really teleporting you into that time, or is it just sort of a layer, a kind of a cheap veneer on top of it? Is it really immersive?
It's going to be a couple of years before you can actually recreate everything. For instance, right now, no matter how good your computer or your VR technology is, a 1930s home will never smell like a 1930s home. The old wooden furniture, the books, all those things. The heat of a coal fire. I mean, how do you recreate that? We're not there yet. But I would not be surprised if in a few years most people have a very white, empty, minimalistic room, but the second they walk in, this room turns into the textures and the furniture and the things that they have on their headset. So you can almost say we can stop decorating our houses because you can turn it into an IKEA paradise. But when I come to visit you and I go, oh my God, you have no taste whatsoever, I switch on my 1930s switch and suddenly everything looks nice and Art Deco-y.
See, now we're talking. So that in other words, you would visit me despite me having absolutely no taste, and I go all 70s with orange chairs and stuff.
Oh my God!
You could then still visit me because you just see it completely differently.
I might even have a little filter for you. Turn Drax into someone looking half decent.
The future's bright. Who was laughing? We talk later.
That was me.
No, I mean, HoloLens is out there. It's coming, and Magic Leap that we talked about in the past is sort of the other thing that we don't know much about, except for this one demo video that they have on YouTube where the guy's shooting robots. Same concept, augmented reality. Magic Leap has claimed that they have figured out how light bounces off of the holographic objects in a way that the eye does not see a difference between real objects and superimposed 3D objects. Anyway, just another news item here. I saw this, Joe. VR can bring loved ones back from the dead. This is a company called Paranormal Games out of Australia, and they're working on a game or a world that will bring back your deceased family members. And they're working with grief counselors and psychologists and other experts to really go beyond the tech question. But their demo video, and I saw this and I thought, well, wow, this is really cool. Maybe you can put sort of an AI functionality in it, feed that avatar all sorts of things that you can really interact with your loved ones. But what I've seen here is that they're not really beyond just recreating an avatar. And this is one of those things where I go like, why don't you do this in Second Life? And I know people who have done that in Second Life. They recreated family members. They interact with them in sort of a role play context. They recreated their old family home, stuff like that. You have chatbots functionality.
I think that either technology, Second Life or any other one, is close enough for me to make this interesting, because it has to be pretty much perfect. You do not want to have this very emotional visit with and drown in lag or have low graphics or things like that. For instance, I've never met my grandmother, and I would love to have met her. And I may one day, build a house where my mother grew up, and have my grandmother sitting there. But when I want to do that, I know it's going to be pretty emotional, and it has to be really, really good. It has to be really, really smooth. You want to be there privately on your own, and not be bothered by anything or anyone. So it's not there yet, I think, in either virtual world.
Those are good points. I mean, Second Life with the limitations that we all know, including lag and such, is maybe not the
spam
the right place.
and instant messages and group messages. You don't want all those things. You want to be able to turn all those things off and be invisible and have some peace and quiet with in a very private area where people don't suddenly teleport in half naked.
Well, if these guys are in fact building something like that, that it's that private space and that is really high end, where you can go in and have a private interaction with your deceased family members, that sounds interesting. On the other hand, like you said, I'm planning on recreating my grandparents' house from the Munich area. It had to be torn down because it was old. We rebuilt it differently. Anyway, long story short, that is a project that I would find fascinating. So I can visit them every once in a while, and I'm not sure if the visual, if the realism is so incredibly crucial, because this is the last news item I want to get to, is related. There was an article on uploadvr.com called How Virtual Reality is Going to Fix Society and Humanize Social Media. And Joe, they had a snapshot of us doing the live show at SL11B. So another blog stole our image. We got to sue them. But anyway, the blog is about how social interaction has to be different now that we have virtual reality, VR. And Peter Gray from Linden Lab is quoted, the director of global communication at Linden Lab, is talking about that the uncanny valley issue is not really an issue for him. Uncanny valley, of course, is when an avatar is very close to the real thing, but not quite, so you get creeped out. There's a lot of literature on this, so let's not get into it. You can read up on the details. But my point is that, and the article says that you don't need hyper-realism for hyper immersion, right? I mean, we talk about this all the time. Doesn't this apply also to, bringing back your deceased loved ones? Or
well, it sort of depends. I mean, if you're in an environment like a room or a house and it reminds you of something, it's quite easy to step over that barrier and accept that it's not real, but enjoy it anyway. But with a human being, it is very, very different. If I talk to my sister who is living in another part of the country, or my mother, I want to see them, and any sort of little glitch or detail that's not perfect sort of ruins the illusion. This is, that's not a problem in a house or a street or a building or whatever you do, which is perfectly capable of doing that in Second Life. But if you're talking to a human, especially one you haven't seen in a long time, like family members living in Australia on the other side of the world, it has to be really, really good. When it's emotional. Yeah, it works in Second Life. It works with avatars, but I don't feel I've got a strong attachment to to the person in real life, but to its avatar. I like the avatar. I recognize the avatar. I know the real person behind it, but it's there is still this sort of barrier, especially when in Second Life nobody looks like their avatar. So I think I understand what they mean by the uncanny valley. You have to go beyond that. You have to look at graphics and think, this is the person, this is real. No doubts, no illusion shattering. It's you have to be completely okay with it. And
brings me back to the Black Mirror. The Black Mirror has an episode where the woman, her husband dies, and then there is a company that has sort of a chat bot, and she is reluctant, and she signs up with the service, gets the chat bot, and then the company says, or the chatbot actually says, there's another level. And then she orders a replica, a robot of her husband, and it goes on from there. It's a great episode. We'll link to it on the blog. Okay, we're half hour into the show. Let's introduce our guests. We're so rude, Joe. We're talking here, and we have a whole bunch of really great guests. We're at Poseidon's Abyss on the Fantasy Faire 2015, and we have from left to right. I'm looking at stage left, as they say. Alessandra Andel. Then we got Lauren Tone.
Yep, that's me.
We got Elizabeth Tinsley. We got Stevie Bazevi. And we got Joe. And then we got Safia Wittershins, who is with us almost every week. No. Feels like it. It's a good feeling.
But hi.
Did I mispronounce any names?
Nope. No, you got mine right.
Very good.
Bazevi.
Stevie Bazevi. So, now, Fantasy Faire, we're about halfway into Fantasy Faire, right? I would like to have Elizabeth give us a little bit background on Fantasy Faire. And maybe, Elizabeth, if you start with where are we now in terms of how long will Fantasy Faire be open, some of the facts, how big is it, and how much money have you gotten?
Well, that's
how much money have you got?
How much money you got?
Yeah, give me some money.
Well, we were actually adding up this morning. This is the 7th year that the Fantasy Faire has existed in Second Life. And as of this morning, we have raised $156,000
Whoa.
over 7 years.
Fantastic.
Wow.
So yeah, we were pretty impressed with ourselves, and the fact that we actually sat down and did math too, first thing in the morning. That was impressive as well.
I can't do that.
We are almost to the end of Fantasy Faire for this year. We have Friday today, and then the weekend. So we'll be open officially through Sunday night. And then we arranged to have the Sims for an extra couple of days from Linden Labs before they disappear. So if people want to come on Monday or Tuesday next week, they'll still be able to find the Sims in all the shops and do the hunt and everything. So we encourage people to continue to come.
Okay, so folks, did you hear this? If you hear this show, come on in now. It's up till the weekend, the entire weekend, and then a couple more days. Linden Lab has provided the Sims, and you can still come in.
When we started in 2009, we had 9 Sims, and we have never been smaller than that. This year, we have 13 Sims. We have 10 shopping Sims, which do not look like shopping Sims at all, really. They are fantasy environments, each and every one of them. But we also have 3 additional Sims that are built for specific purposes. We have an arrival Sim that is also a memorial Sim. We have a Sim that is dedicated completely to the Fantasy Faire hunt, and we have the Sim that we're presently on, which is new this year. It's an arts and entertainment Sim, and it was built by Havit Knox, and the idea was that it would be basically a piece of art that you could walk through. And then I told him that I wanted to be able to have galleries to put up fantasy art in, and we've also had a stage here that has provided an area for several different groups to come in and do dance performances and particle shows, which has been just amazing and something new that we have brought on board this year.
Let me bring in Alessandra, because you're a photographer, and I was so crazy busy in real life. I was in yesterday and strolled through a few sims, but Alessandra, can you as a photographer give us an overview of what we have this year? What is the eye candy?
Well, oh goodness, no. Well, my favorite has to be the Fallen Gods sim. I have to say it every year. Ali's sim is just spectacular.
Alia Baroque. Mm-hmm.
Yes, all the sims are spectacular, but there's something about his that are so touching and moving that I can't help but spend a huge amount of time in his particular sim. But what I've decided to do this year, and I didn't do it in the previous years, is that I wanted to feel the sims. I wanted to feel each place that I was in. So I took a day, and I have been taking days still. And I dress up in a particular costume, and then I just spend all my time in that sim. And, you really do get a feel for what they were trying to convey, what sort of messages they were handing out. And just the beauty of it is just so impressive. And I can't imagine actually sitting at my desk and drawing, because I saw the blueprints of Elias sim yesterday on his website, and I can't actually imagine sitting there and picturing what a sim would look like, and then drawing it out, and then building. I'm not a builder by any means, so it's beautiful to see it, and it's wonderful that everybody has their own idea and vision. I'm sorry, the names are not coming to me at the moment here. Aurora, for instance, I didn't actually catch on that that Aurora was, I think it's based on the compass, the golden compass, is it? I think it is.
Yes, that's right.
And yeah, I didn't actually know that at the time, so I was looking around going, oh, I really love the snow, and I love this, and it's got a steampunk feel to it, and then somebody said the golden compass, and I was like, I've never actually read that book. So I have to do that, or even seen the movie. So I have to do one of the two. But because of that, it sort of inspired me to want to do that now. And that's, each of these sims are doing that.
It's interesting that we just talked about how immersive SL is without other sort of means like goggles or whatnot, and well, I'm wearing Oculus Rift here in Second Life. I should take it off. I don't see anything. I don't see any of you guys. But it's amazing how immersive it feels. I was at the Safia helped me out, the paper cutout sim yesterday. Puppetsboro?
Oh yes, Puppetsboro.
Who made that? That's amazing.
That's very cute.
Okay, Safia's audio is really bad. Can somebody else jump in?
Puppetsboro is really amazing. It is. It's a pop-up book, and when I was first presented with the idea, I was a little concerned because I thought it was a great idea, but I didn't know how it would fit in with the rest of the Sims, because I like to have actual physical environments. And so I went to the creators, Luna Barak, Aurunia On, and Kira Ryder, and I said, okay, if we're going to do this, you need to build it in such a way that there is a population of citizens living here. And they did. And they have an avatar, a paper doll avatar. And she is one of the puppets that live in Puppetsboro. And it works beautifully. I want to get that photo, actually. I saw that yesterday, and I haven't had a chance to grab that photo yet, but I have to get her because that little avatar was amazing.
Let me bring in the other people here on the panel real quick. I'm sorry to jump on you, Elizabeth, Stevie, and Lauren. Stevie, you are involved in role play here, and Elizabeth mentioned earlier that this is something that gets lost sometimes. I do hear criticism of Fantasy Faire, and it's always along the lines, yeah, it's just shopping and stuff, but you do role play, so tell me what you guys are doing here.
We do role play. Actually, this is our second year here with role play, and we're having a great time. We are the Sanctuary role play community, and what we've done this year is our nemesis, Lot, who spends most of the year locked in a crystal, has escaped once more. His humanity that was ripped from his person many eons ago has wandered back into town and been arrested. So right now what we're trying to do is show the actual origins of the city and how all of these things came to be so many years ago.
And that is just in one sim, or does they go through the entire Fantasy Fair?
We have 2 spots with Death Row Designs. They were generous enough to give us 2 spots beneath their castle. We have one area that is a throne room, and the other area is our actual courtroom. And we have had people come by and role play with us, and we're just having a great time.
You have a system, a HUD system, I suppose, and you involve also noobs, or how do you get new people in? This is a question I'm going to ask later again. How do you bring in people who hear of Fantasy Fair, or they look, the Second Life Destination Guide, they come in? How do you get them going?
Well, okay, we've been on the Destination Guide for probably close to 4 years. We've been blessed with that. But yeah, we've had people come over to our area and role play with us. We are part of the CCS community, which is a community combat system. It's a HUD-based combat system that was made by Susanna Soyinka in 2006, so it's been around for quite a while. And when they come in, we have several different sims. We have the Sanctuary community, we have the City of Los Angeles, and all of their sims, and we try to help people fit into the place that works best for them. We get them help. We get people connected with other people so that they can be more relaxed and feel comfortable in the areas that they want to role play in.
What's the backstory of the Sanctuary? In 5 sentences or less.
I can do this. Sanctuary was a biblical Sodom that was hidden by a deal gone wrong by the Jinn, and we're in a time rift. And we get people, beings from all different times and places that come to see us, and it just works.
That sounds awesome, and it sounds like something even Joe could participate in if you get people from the 1920s.
Yes, she'd be more than welcome with us.
Lauren, you're sponsoring here the Fantasy Fair. What's your involvement with the Fantasy Fair, and what is your favorite place here this year?
Well, thank you for having us all. Well, my main thing in Second Life is I do sound production.
Right, and you were involved also with Mad P. I have to add that for folks that don't know. You had a heavy involvement in the Unia game that just came out. Am I correct?
I was involved with them. I am no longer with them, but yes, I was involved in the creation of Unia, and I wish them the best with it because I know they really worked hard on it.
We're getting off track. Lauren, what is your favorite sim?
Man, it's hard to say. I've been so busy with real life work that I have not been able to explore the whole thing yet. There are some puppet setups. They have done I think they're doing it every 5 minutes or so. A production of that. I've been able to see some of the light and particle shows, which have been very impressive this time. I still have much exploring to do. But my involvement this time, pretty much all I've done is create a couple of theme songs for the Fantasy Fair.
And we are actually at a place that before we started taping this show, there was a performance by Jenza Misfit, if I'm correct, a longtime Second Life resident. What was this all about? What did we miss? And maybe let's describe where actually are we sitting, Elizabeth?
We're on a floating stage. We're on a floating stage in the middle of Poseidon's Abyss. And if you were able to look around us, what you would see is ships and floating fish galleries, and below us we have 40 meters of water that has been turned into Poseidon's treasure room. And so that's where our stage is. We are in the center of this floating open sea. And Jenza was here doing a dance in support of the survivors of cancer. She has done a dance performance, I believe, every day since we've opened, 15-minute dance performance. So she is one of the groups that has come in and made special use of this sim this year.
Let's talk about doing this in Second Life. Now, you're raising funds for Relay for Life that benefits the American Cancer Society. How is your relationship with the American Cancer Society? Let me ask that first. You collect the funds, they're aware of what you're doing, I suppose, and you collect the funds and then you give the funds to them. What is the feedback from them when you tell them, hey, we're doing this in a non-existent place where people escape and run around in bikinis?
I know that there is a staff person who works with the American Cancer Society. His name is Jeff Montague. And he created an avatar and has been in Second Life for the entire time. I believe they're going on 10 years now in Second Life, though don't quote me on that. I'm not exactly sure. And he is the official liaison with the American Cancer Society, and he works with volunteers in here who have organized what the Second Life community does for Relay for Life. And I am not exactly sure what the people at the American Cancer Society thought when they were first proposed this idea. I think that considering the amount of money that has been raised by the Second Life community over the many years that fundraising has been going on in here, I think they take us a little bit more seriously now. I mean, after all, money is money. And maybe we dress up like pixies and mermaids and demons, but we're also giving them money, so I'm sure that they're happy.
How does it work with Relay for Life? Can anybody say, hey, I want to do a private fundraiser in my community with my people and then have a relationship with them? How does that work? Can somebody illuminate that process for us?
Well, I can't really speak to that. What I can speak to is that for a Second Life, and for the Fantasy Faire in particular, we have people from all over the world that contribute to this effort. The Fantasy Faire was started by Ember Farina, who's Australian. This year, most of our builders, at least half, I would say, are from Europe and Asia. So for the Fantasy Faire, and I think that SL in general, it is a wonderful place to be able to bring a global community to fight against cancer. Even though it's the American Cancer Society, the benefits of the research that they do apply to everybody. I mean, anybody who has cancer anywhere in the world is going to benefit from the research that is being done by the American Cancer Society.
I was just asking, and I'm looking it up. I was mistaken. It is also very active in Australia and in some other countries. I was just curious, how do you enter into a relationship within the organization? I'm looking at the Wikipedia page here right now, and there are 5,000 or so events all over the world. As a matter of fact, they benefit the American Cancer Society, and I'll do a little research and then I'll post it on our blog page, because that was something I was always curious about, and I didn't have time to research this prior to the show. How do you actually get what's the relationship between the organization and the individual events, such as Fantasy Faire? What is that relationship like? How does the money? How does the money get transferred? Who signs off of an event? You know, if I were say like a Satanist, I'm just making stuff up. But it's like I'm a convinced Satanist.
Confess.
I'm confessing.
Yep.
I would assume that what you're doing in real life would be similar to what we're doing in Second Life with Jeff Montague. He is our liaison, so he basically has to sign off on what we're doing, and he has given the SL community a list of guidelines and requirements in order to run an event that is sanctioned by ACS. So anybody can give money to them, but not anybody can say we're doing it for them.
We are running out of time fast on this show. This show will air today after I edit it, and then you guys, whoever's listening to the show, has to log into Fantasy Faire. Even you, Joe. Well, you're already in.
I'm here.
But Joe, you would ordinarily not go to such an event because it's not realistic, right? Would you?
Well, it's very difficult to explain, but I'm just not that much into fantasy themes in general. And that's, I don't know why that is. Probably because of my obsession with history and details and trying to get everything right. It's it's sort of like I guess I'm the nemesis in this story.
Anybody in the audience, please take Frau Joe Yardley shopping so that her purchases benefit Relay for Life as well. Because there's got to be something that you can buy here, something realistic that you can put into Berlin. Alessandra, what are you going to be doing this weekend here on the fair? What's something that you don't want to miss, or something that you have had on your list and you weren't getting around to it?
Oh, I can't wait because I've been waiting for this for ages. It's actually happening tonight. Is the Masked Ball?
Oh yeah,
I believe that's happening tonight, right? That's happening, guys?
Yes, tonight.
Yeah, I really, really, really want to dress up for that. I, as you can tell, I mean, I'm the only one here wearing a big set of branch wings that are going through a chair here and everything.
Describe yourself. And you said earlier, when you go to The Sims, you change, right? I mean, you change so that you're inside the theme of that particular sim, right?
That's right. Yes, I do. For Odyssey, I was a mermaid, which ended up actually making the banner of the Fantasy Faire website. I was delighted with that. I couldn't believe that the picture that I had taken had actually made the banner. And I think it was Alea. I always pronounce his name wrong. I think it was Alia.
I don't know.
Alia. He called me Calypso, and I just said, "Oh, that's just brilliant." So yeah, when I was in, the name escapes me. What is the name of that sim?
Describe it.
The Japanese. It was the Japanese one. I'm sorry. I was going to look it up. Yeah, that one. Yes. I actually went out of my comfort zone on that one, and normally, you can't. Not everybody on the radio will be able to tell, but right now I'm dressed in gowns and jewelry and long hair and these humongous branch wings that are sticking out of my back. I like to go all out, and I like to look elegant at all times. For the Japanese sim, again, I can't pronounce it. Sorry. I actually dressed up as a geisha. And that was completely out of my comfort zone. And, I was telling people, I was like, oh, goodness, I look like I'm wearing a trash bag. It was so huge on me. But, somebody had actually taken the time to explain to me that this was actually quite elegant for the culture. And I was actually happy that I represented it well through my own vision.
Who can pronounce the name of that sim? Yozakura.
Yes, Yozakura.
Mm-hmm. Who made it?
That was Naya Alchemy, and she is actually someone that Joe might appreciate. She does Edo builds, Japanese Edo builds, historic builds, and so this was kind of out of her comfort zone to build it as well. But she loves Relay for Life. She really wanted to support the Fantasy Fair, so she made an effort, and the sim has turned out beautifully.
It is amazing. Stevie, are you going to do still role-playing this weekend?
Yes, actually, today all the secrets are coming out. The truth is coming out today, and it's going to shake our entire community. So we're looking forward to that.
Oh, one question that I was also going to ask you, Elizabeth, because when noobs come in, do you have issues with them purchasing things and not understanding that they have to, in most cases, res it somewhere to open it. I mean, this is an issue all around, but it just occurred to me yesterday that, somebody new would come in and very enthusiastic about Fantasy Fair. Oh, I can support this. Oh, I look at these items. I understand that I can buy them. Then I buy them and I want to put them on and it doesn't work.
Right. And actually, you would think that that would be a problem. If it has been a problem, I have not seen it a lot. And I think that a big reason for that is that a lot of people now package things in bags that auto unpack for you because we don't allow resing on the Sims. But if they wear the package, it will deliver to them.
That's perfect. And I, as the test shopper, of course, then I went straight into the one vendor who still had boxes I had to res. We're at the end of the show. It's great having you guys. I'm sorry that we have so little time. We went over time anyway. But it's an amazing effort, and congratulations to everyone who was involved. I really love it, and I wish I would have time to do a video.
We're booking you now for next year.
That's the way to go. Book me now, exactly. I just want to mention at the end of the show, the documentary Virtualize It is coming May 6th. We talked about it in the past. It's from German Spiegel TV, and it will have English subtitles, and it will be free on their website, spiegel.tv. We'll link to it. May 6th will start. As we're speaking, I have a new Drax Files World Makers video out. It's episode 29. I worked really hard on it. The people who are profiled in there are amazing individuals as well. It's about Cyberpunk. It's about In Silico. And the video is going live right now. I'm pasting the link. You will be the first person. You guys will be the first people to see it. It goes live right now. So very proud of that one. And lastly, the Virtual Reality Expo is coming May 18th and 19th. And we have a discount. If you ping us, we'll give you a discount code. So you can go there. It's at the San Jose Convention Center. And of course, ironically, it's a VR expo. And it's great, but it has no virtual reality component. So you have to go there physically.
Yeah, I can't do that. It's a bit too far away from me, from Amsterdam. Yeah, no, I can't swim that far.
Joe, what are you doing this weekend? Oh, I know what you're doing. You're gonna spend time at the Japanese at the Japanese store on the Yozakura Zim here in Fantasy Fair, right?
Unfortunately, I'm going to be too busy role-playing myself because it's May Day, and in 1929 Berlin, we're having massive riots with police opening fire and all the sorts of things that are happening in America, except they were happening in Berlin in 1929 as well, and we're going to be reenacting that for the next couple of days. So I'm going to be a bit busy with that. And I was also going to try and visit the SS Galaxy, a very famous, massive cruise ship in Second Life. I think it's about 4 regions long. And unfortunately, it's closing. I think, it's today or the day after. It's the last day that it's in Second Life. But again, the Second Life Go service has died this afternoon. I can't make any nice pictures anymore, so I may as well just stay home.
On that depressing note, we're going out with some music from Cole Marie Soleil. I hope I pronounced that correctly. The song is called Don't Want You. She's a machinima maker, Second Life musician, real life musician. Her latest album, What You, featuring Coma, Something Here, is out. I love her stuff. I love her machinimas. This is Cole Marie Soleil. Thank you, everyone on the panel. Thank you, Joe. Have a nice weekend.
Auf Wiedersehen.
The Drax Files Radio Hour with Joe Yardley is a weekly production of Basic Drax Entertainment. The show is supported by Leap Motion, Stitcher, Fateware by Damien Fate, Giza Creations, Arrows Avatars, Maven Homes, Mad Bee Productions, Bot Girls Identity Circus, Ison, Caravel Design, Vika Creations, Humanoid Animations, Loki Elliott, Botanical, Death Row Designs, Fallen Gods Incorporated, What's Next, Abranimations, Blue Moon Enterprises, Avacon, and Landscapes Unlimited. Contact the show via Skype, Drax Files, Avatar, Drax Files, or email radio@draxfiles.com.